One of the magical things I think about scent is, you've probably had that experience where you're walking down the street and you smell something and it can trigger a 10, 15-year-old memory in perfectly vivid details, something you've not even thought about in that time. And I think that is the true magic of scent. I think the single most influential aspect which inspired me into creating the scent for the Broadway was the location and the history of the space. I was quite fascinated by the fact that it's sitting on what was the old orchard for Westminster Abbey, and how back then, the orchards weren't just sort of these pretty gardens. They were very much this utilitarian space for growing food and growing medicine, for feeding the abbey, for giving to the community, for creating that nurturing aspect. And for me, that was quite fascinating. The scent for Broadway is actually two different scents that we created. One for the main spaces, sort of for the reception and the meeting rooms, the second for the spa. And we took two very different approaches to both of them. For the meeting rooms, we drew on the history of the space, which was Westminster Abbey, and how it's built in the old orchard of the Abbey. And so we wanted to create this sort of scent which was evoked this notion of a cathedral. It's the idea of wet stone, moss, incense burning, polished wooden pews. And then we brought that into the main spaces, because for me they felt quite like an abbey as well, very high ceilings, quite bright. The second scent we created was for the spa, and in this case, it's a multi-purpose spa with a swim room and a weight room, and we wanted to create a scent for the reception area, which was a very energizing, uplifting feeling. And so we drew a lot more on aromatherapy for this. So we used a lot of citruses, we used herbs like rosemary in the scent to create something which was a bit much more energizing.